Welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. I need to go back and listen to that Cowboys report. I listened to the lead-in, and they said something about a Cowboys player in trouble with the law again, and I thought, really? I didn't follow the whole story on that, so.
Well, it's been a minute since they've been in. That used to be the joke, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were always in trouble, but now they've kind of cleaned up.
Well, I mean, they're having a 5-1 start. They're having.
Yeah.
I asked our resident Dallas Cowboys fan, since we've started broadcasting the Cowboys on our stations, when was the last time they were 5-1?
Right.
We couldn't think of a time that they
Really?
were 5-1.
Huh.
We've been carrying them mostly through the Jason Garrett era of the 8-8 seasons.
Right.
I mean, there was a whole bunch of those.
Yeah.
And so now that they're having the success, I'm sure there's haters out there that are going to start trying to come up with ways to tear them down and take them down. And that's kind of a bad thing in our society right now. We seem to be jealous of people that have achieved some kind of success.
Yeah.
And we relish taking them down. Well, I found a quote that you said a nasty word 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Boom, you're out of here. And I kind of feel bad about that.
That's why a lot of us, our age group, right, and up, should be so thankful social media. And that's what I told my kids. I'm like, y'all got to realize social media is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
In the sense of whatever stupid comment you make, whether it's a joke or not, that isn't offensive today, in 30 years, somebody might be offended by the word blue. I mean, who knows the weirdness of our society. Weird things come offensive. And it's shocking. One of the classes my daughter's taking, and I won't go into the words they're talking about, but and I told her, so I can't use that word anymore. I got to use it. And they're words that are both kind of offensive towards a group. And she goes, yeah, we're not allowed to say that word anymore. We're supposed to say this. And I'm like, how am I supposed to keep up with those? I can't even keep up with Brandon. And now I've got to come up with these new words that.
I know. Well, it's crazy. And the other thing, too, is when we're having a conversation, you can see the reaction on the face. And so if you ask a question or you make a statement, you can get an immediate reaction as to whether or not what you've asked or what you've said is being interpreted the way that you want it to be interpreted. On the social media, you don't have that. So somebody posts something, somebody reacts to something, and then the next thing you know, it becomes totally twisted into something totally different from what the original intention was of the original post. And I spent a great deal of time this weekend dealing with one of those situations. Somebody said something that got interpreted by something that got turned into something totally wrong.
Right.
And so I had to spend some time this weekend making sure that this person who said this meant this, and it wasn't what you were told that it was. And I mean, that's not new. Those types of misinterpretations and things have happened all along, but it seems like they get just so blown out of proportion and amplified on the social media. Or people react to things that somebody posts. They never go back and read the original story or look at the original content.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're being flooded with people, I can't believe this, I can't believe that. I know, well, don't believe it because it didn't happen, or don't believe it because that wasn't what was said.
Well, and we just had a great example, right? When we were talking earlier on the show, when we were talking about the 7 best presidents.
Yeah.
If you read the reactions, some of them are like, this is rigged, did you read it? I mean, just read the post before you read. But some people jump to reaction because we're such a reactionary society now that, oh, you had to have meant this because you're an idiot. Well, wait, slow down. I'm not stupid. It was a joke. It really was. It was funny.
Oh, and there's a whole science into writing headlines on posts.
Oh, yeah.
Clickbait, that I'm going to write it this way so that you click on here and read this story, and then when you read the actual story, you go, well, this two don't go together. But
exactly.
So you just have to be informed, and I don't care whether it's a school board election or a county commission election or anything that's going on with the state or federal government. Don't just take what something says or a headline that you read or a post that somebody puts up there. Dig into it yourself and read and get as much background.
Well, and that's what I told her with this, and it's not a race that we're talking about, so people don't freak out. It's not a race. It's a group. Mm-hmm. Well, when I was in school, that was you didn't use that word, period. And I still don't think you should use the word, but that's what they say, and then it changed, and now it's changing it back to this one. So now you've got to, if you're going to pull old comments and try to get people, right? You're going to have to, what you just said, put it into the context of that time frame and say, oh no, between, it's just so stupid, between 91 and 95, that was the word we were supposed to use, but in 96 it changed back to this word. I mean, offensive is offensive, and let's just pick what we're supposed to, but now we're adding new things to groups, and and it's almost impossible. You're going to get got, right?
Yeah,
Whether you
yeah.
mean to or not, and I think the majority of people don't mean to be offensive. I think they just don't know.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and
Or they're-
sometimes you've got to help people.
You gotta help them out.
Now,
Do that.
race is a whole different thing. So, folks out there, don't call Gene and say John's. That's a whole different thing. It is what it is. There's no black or white there. It's just.
That's right. Well, apparently there is black and white, but that's
Oh,
another,
great! Now I said that. I didn't. There is no gray area. Is that safe? I don't know.
We'll go with gray.
We'll go with gray area.
Yeah.
So.
Well, excuse me. Let's go back to our county commission meeting. You mentioned there was one item that did get quite a bit of discussion.
Yeah, there is. I'll get
And
to
it
that.
had to do. Okay.
But real quick, I just
Sure.
wanted to go because this is kind of exciting. Yesterday, there was a public hearing to approve Arbor Estates. That's a preliminary plan that I think there's 12 lots that are going to go in here to Artesia.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's out towards 13th and Jackson area or something like that. Really exciting because I know a lot of folks in town get frustrated that there's not a lot of lots to build on. So it looks like that is moving in the right direction. So
Okay.
some positive.
Is that in the city or in the county?
That's right into the county. So,
Okay.
yeah, anytime we have to approve them, it's because it'll be in just the county. So, but I think they're 1 acre lots. Looks like it's going to be a neat deal and hopefully help a lot of folks because I know a lot of people are looking for those acre lots to build on and build a house. And so exciting news, I think, for Artesia that it's only 12. I understand that. But, hey, it's 12 more than we had yesterday.
That's
so
right.
we're moving in the right direction, and let's keep that going, hopefully. The one we were going to talk about the most, and there's one other I'd like to touch on, but
Sure.
we did have a presentation and update on the affordable housing plan. So what the counties and cities do, most counties and cities, some don't, but we put an affordable housing plan together. I think it's every 5 years to kind of show what's going on in our county. It breaks it down. There's a million categories that breaks it down into income and how much rent is and how much mortgages and how much houses are going for now. And so there's a lot of categories, but it just kind of shows the lack of or the surplus of it. It depends on where you're at. For us, obviously, I think most people know affordable housing is becoming really tough in the area. I mean, with the rentals as high as they are, I mean, the rentals on that were incredibly high compared to most everywhere else. So it just gives you to where when the grants come up or there's opportunities to try to go get some of that, if you have this plan on place, for those that don't know, in order to get a grant for these affordable homes, man, the paperwork is like a book. And when you have this plan, that's another bonus for your
request or your
request
application.
or thank you, application, because this has already been done. And so I know Carlsbad has done it. Now Eddy County's done it. I don't know if Artesia's done it. I'm sure they have. But the group that presented to us yesterday just happened to do Carlsbad, so I just know that off the top of my head. But it's good. The big discussion we had, and I think the thing that everyone needs to understand is for the county, it's still very difficult for us to put in any kind of affordable housing, right? Because county doesn't have infrastructure. And so we don't have septic, we don't do water, we do roads, right? Whereas the city has the septic, the water, and all that good
Right.
stuff. So there's a big difference in the two. A lot of our stuff, and Commissioner McCutcheon had a lot of information on this. So to put let's call it an apartment complex into the county, you can only do 99 doors, period. Because then you can put in a septic system that the state would approve. But if you go to 100 doors, the state will no longer approve it. But that septic system going in there now knocks out your affordable homes because the septic system is so expensive. So it makes it very difficult for the county to really be able to dabble in this very much just because we don't have the infrastructure that maybe some counties do. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at some urban or some populated counties, Bernalillo, and those, they would have a lot more options maybe. In Eddy County, now I did ask, and I think we can, and we're going to look towards that. And the gentleman making the presentation said that would be another bonus point. But could we partner Eddy County's plan with an Artesia or a Carlsbad plan and say, hey, both of us are seeing the same data. We want this grant. We're applying together, and it would go here, whether it be in Artesia or one of the cities. And maybe that, and they said, yeah, that would sure up your plan. So hopefully we can start working together and try to get, because it is a need, a desperate need, right? We need folks to work in work, and they need housing, and there's not a lot of housing available right now in Artesia, especially. I mean, our housing market is still very busy. Oil's coming up, so we know it's going to get busier, which is good for the economy, bad for housing if you're trying to buy or rent a house. If you're selling houses, it's good. It just depends on where you're sitting. So, but yeah, great plan. If y'all are interested in it or want to ask more questions, I really would love folks to ask questions about it, because it's an important aspect. It's an important thing that I think there's a lot of folks interested in trying to get moving to help those folks out.
So in theory, could somebody want to build a development in the county, but it's close enough to a city that they could tie into or access the city utilities when it comes to things like the water and sewer?
Sure. In theory, all that could happen, but that would be a lot. I mean, the city would have to accept it. They'd have to run that infrastructure out there, depending on where it is. I mean, there's so much. Even a little subdivision we were looking at that's in the city, but just to run that lift stations are like over $100,000. So, you know, all of a sudden, just to get that infrastructure there. So, in theory, I'm sure they could, and if it worked, I'm sure they would. But there would have to be a lot of work on both sides to make something like that happen. And I think everyone's willing to put in that work, because I think they know and see the needs. But to get through that grant process and get one of those approved is a monumental task that it's not overnight.
Do these grants come from the state, or do they come from the feds?
I think they can get them from both. I think the state has grants, federal has grants. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there to help get this accomplished. And this is a big step in helping that process. So we try to keep up on that. Like I said, they did this 5 years ago, so it was right when I was fresh on the board. Now this is the second time we've seen it. So try to keep up with that. So good stuff, very important stuff, and I know that's a problem everyone talks about. We don't sit idle on it. It just...
So when you hear the term affordable housing in this context, is this low-income housing, or is it just helping to develop the infrastructure to make it more likely that a developer would come in, whatever the type of housing is?
I think you could look at it all that, right?
Okay.
I don't think it's one little concept you're looking for. You know, you're looking to provide something great for families that need it. And that's the way I would look at it, whether that be infrastructure or a house they can live in or an apartment they can live in, whatever it is. Getting those folks a place they can live, be proud of, and contribute, right? Because I think when you get folks living in a safe place that they're happy, all of a sudden they're happy at their jobs. They're contributing to your town, your county, your city, whatever it is. And obviously that's the goal, right? I mean, get folks plugged in.
That's right.
And I think this is a huge step, whatever that looks like. And any way we can help start that process, I think we're very interested in trying to get that rolling.
Got about a minute left. Was there anything else?
This next one will be super quick.
Okay.
Eddy County, we did approve the fire code yesterday, right? So whereas right now, if you're building in the county, and some people think, oh, they're just going to take this and run and check our buildings. And yes, that will happen. Just to make sure they're safe. But also what's going to happen is now if you're building something new, rather than waiting on the state, which could take months and months, I think I heard somebody's delayed over 6 months waiting on them. Now you can put it to our Eddy County Fire Code, and they can approve it, they can come inspect it, and it can be done at rapid pace compared to the state taking. Just because the state's, this is not a shot at the state, it's just they're overwhelmed. It's the state, right? So this is a much more efficient, effective way to help our citizens get their things going. A big discussion we had is we don't want to use this as a go and fine everybody. That I have no interest in that. But if you want to go around and educate, if you have an emergency door there and it's blocked by something and you can't get out, well, that defeats the purpose. So, hey, just don't block that. Make sure people are safe. So, good thing. I think that's a great thing that is going to really help businesses and folks out in the county get going quicker.
Excellent. John, thank you so much for coming in. We always appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
We'll see you here in a couple
Hope you
weeks.
like my shirt better.
All right. Thanks a lot. County Commissioner John Henry will be back on the other side of the news.
By Mayor Bill de Blasio.